Original motion from Kyle and Mr. Leflock, seconded by Mrs. Knight, for moving forward with the North Penn High School option of closing the North Penn High School to be considered in the 780 school closure process, and that all other schools would remain the same. Then Mr. Bergeson made a motion to lay it on the table until a special board meeting on October 2nd, and that was laid on the table. Does the board wish to remove this from the table?
Can I ask a question? As it's worded, if this motion was approved, then there's no reason to consider any other possible closures. Is that correct? Move that only option one.
If this motion is brought off the table, yes, it would be only that option looked at this current time. However, the board could add other ones to the process at a future date by creating another 780 hearing. From the attorney's review, only the ones specified in the 780 process can be reviewed. Only those schools can be reviewed in the 780 process. All those in favor of, again, to bring it from the table to active discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
If I can just say again, if this was voted yes, it would preclude all other discussion of any other scenario.
That is correct. That is correct.
If we continue down the road we've been going, we cannot fiscally be responsible and maintain what we're doing. My personal view is we need to close, as we have said before, at least 2 schools. The question becomes when. I don't like it. You don't like it. But facts are facts. The cost of operation of each school needs to be determined. It does not make any sense to move 370, I believe that's the right number, I may be off a little bit, students to Liberty by bus, when from Liberty to Bloss, it's 250 kids. We are a business, the business of education. Our product is dependent upon how great a job these teachers do, led by the administrators. Our job as a board is to keep it fiscally straight. We need to move forward. End of my discussion.
What I'd like to do is get a consolidation expert in here. There's different ones around the state. One that we looked at is called Hunt, and they would come in, they would work with the teachers, they would work with the community, and they would work with the administration as far as what we could do with our consolidation. I talked that over with Brian. Brian thought that was a very good idea. I talked it over with Kathy. She thought it was a very good idea. I went down to Liberty, talked it over with Tom Nelson, STEA president. He said that he thought that was a great idea as well. So my recommendation this evening is to go ahead and move forward with the 780 hearing to close North Penn High School, but then also get Hunt involved, have them come in, work with the teachers, work with the staff, work with the community as far as what direction we go from there then.
Just looking at the numbers, if in fact we carry over $358,000 fund balance, if the numbers work out that way, to next year, it looks like the closed BES option gives us a net of minus 62, so we're $62,000 in the hole. The closed North Penn option, we end up still being ahead $233,000, if I did the math correctly.
To refresh with you, so that everybody's looking at what we understand here. The closed North Penn high school option, which is what we are looking at right now, which is the one on the table, is closing just that building. The closed Blossburg Elementary is a combination of closing Blossburg Elementary and Liberty High School. together. It is a dual closure, it's a two-building closure option, okay, which is the combination of Blossburg Elementary and the Liberty High School together. It's a program together. It's a two-building closure. It's a two-program closure. It's a two-program closure. Okay. The other one is a single program closure, and the superintendent's recommendation you're saying right now is to proceed with the single program closure, and then to bring in a consolidation specialist to determine the next step with the next board. Is that correct, Keith?
You are correct, yes.
Okay.
We need to buy 1 year if we have the information necessary in the 90 days to be able to make a decision. So again, the issue of putting all the schools on the table could save a lot of time and discussion and a lot of attorney fees in doing a 780 hearing. So it's all for discussion.
I agree with that. We can run both. I mean, we can hire the consultant, expand the 780 hearing, and move forward altogether. And we have the best of both worlds there.
Talking with our legal consultant on school consolidation and school closing, we have to present numbers as far as what each building would save us. So if we put all the buildings on, we would have to come up with those numbers at the time of the 780 hearing. Exactly how much we would be saving for if we closed Mansfield High School. Exactly how much we'd be saving if we closed Warrenell Miller. Exactly how much we'd be saving if we closed North Penn, Ross Elementary, Liberty Elementary, Liberty High School. So that is, again, something that we don't have at this time. And that could be something that Hunt could prepare. But in order to come up with a 780 hearing, that's something that we have to actually present at the hearing.
At this point, if we try to do a different option, we could become in legal jeopardy for the hearing process itself. Is that correct?
Yeah, you are correct. And also, in talking with Stephanie from the law firm, in looking at the two options, showing that the closure of North Penn High School saves more money than the other one, that is the one that she's recommending that we move forward with.
Yes. Do we have to move forward with a 780 hearing right now without that information in front of us? Because timeline-wise, we're going to be putting everything back anyways. And again, giving a new board the opportunity to make the decision for the long term, what is going to be fiscally and financially responsible moving forward. That we're right now we're band-aiding forward for another year. And why do this 780 hearing if this is only what we have to do right now? That we already have an understanding that those options do not work.
We need 15 days to advertise, and you hold the hearing, and then it's 90 days before the vote.
So 5.5 months.
That is correct. The problem is, though, it has to be done prior to the announcement to the teachers' unions have to be notified ahead of time, and I think that notification is in April, correct? It's either 60 days prior to the end of the school year.
No, 60 days prior to the start of the next school year. So it needs to be by the end of June. Start working backwards. It has to be the middle of January. I think it's when the 780 hearing has to held. If I'm doing the math correctly. Because it's 90 days, 60 days, that's 5 months. Another 15 days, so 5.5 months.
Not proceed with the action that we had planned last year is already costing us close to several $1 million. Not what was originally. It's $1.9 million. I mean, that's the action we put on the table when we stopped last year. Instead of $50,000 that we presented to the board, it's $1.9 million, almost $2 million that it cost us by not proceeding with the plan that we had in place last year. We need to move forward.
Well, I was just hoping that we could move forward by January with next year having a full plan in place for consolidation, that we begin saving the money come September 1st of 2000.
There's nothing that says we can't get there.
Okay.
Can you hold two simultaneous 780 hearings?
Absolutely. Stephanie said you can't hold two 780 processes simultaneous. You just have to have separate hearings for them.
Okay.
And abide by the deadlines as respectively. You can institute another 780 period process in any time after starting the first one. All those in favor on approving the motion to vote on the original motion, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. If no more discussion, roll call.
Beat it to death.
I know we're beating it to death. Roll call, please.
Mr. Erway.
Yes.
Mr. Hall.
Yes.
Ms. Jaquish.
Yes.
Ms. Knight.
Yes.
Mr. Kohler.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Shaw.
Yes.
7 in favor.
Okay. So the motion has passed that we will consider the closure of North Penn High School. All other schools in the district will remain the same. Okay? So therefore, that will be the consideration that we will proceed with for the 780 process.
That the first 780 hearing, which we just passed, was for that item only and no inclusion of any other school. I then made the 780 motion to include another building.
I guess I need an explanation as to why couldn't we have included that in the motion for the 780 hearing in the first place, as far as putting the option on the table to close Liberty Elementary School along with keeping...
Because it wasn't in the original motion. Wasn't in
It
Kyle's
wasn't in
original
Kyle's
motion.
original motion. Kyle's original motion was for North Penn only, which was made last month. Okay?
Okay, but the answer I got in regards to being able to provide a 780 hearing was that we couldn't include that because of the council's recommendation of having all the financial information available for that option to be on.
That is still the recommendation.
Could I recommend that if that's what the board wants us to do, that you make a motion for us to look at the finances as we had said about earlier with us not being able to put every building on a closure. Because that's really what we need to do. We would need to look at the finances. We would need to look at everything like we gave to you in closing the North Penn High School.
Look, I know I've made drastic motion. The reason I've made this drastic motion is to force an action. You can cancel your 780.
That is correct.
I don't want to remove that motion. That option I want open.
Okay, we're voting on starting the 780 process for the Liberty Elementary School. And appropriately, the administration would have to develop all appropriate data, have it available for when we schedule that 780 process. Okay? And of course, the 780 process could not be scheduled, hearing could not be scheduled until such time as the data is developed, but that is where we are at this time. Okay, we're calling the question then. Roll call.
Ms. Jaquish.
No.
Ms. Knight. No. Mr. Kohler.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yeah.
Ms. Shaw.
No.
Mr. Erway.
Yes.
Mr. Hall.
Yes.
4 in favor, 3 no.
Motion is approved.
Addressed.
My intent was not to move them to Blossburg.
That didn't come through that way. You just said close Liberty Elementary School. There was no closure of the high school program. So you'll have to, next board meeting, you'll have to address that.
To make sure that the motion reads as I intended.
Okay, because we're then back where we were last year, what you're recommending. So which
I'm
is,
recommending to start somewhere. We've killed too much time.
well, that's, I agree with that.
Where are the Liberty High School students going to be?
That's up to redistricting to be decided by the management team.